Hello Model A'ers, in today's video I'm going to show you how to assemble a Zenith carburetor for a Ford Model A. I hope you enjoy the video. So this carburetor is a Zenith 2, which means it was manufactured by Holley. And this is going to be a spare carburetor for my Model A. So all of these parts that you see here go with a Zenith carburetor. And these are all the tools that you need. 5/8 wrench, 9/16, 1/2, an adjustable wrench, screwdriver, and this is the special wrench for the idle and cap jets. But you can also just use a wrench if you don't have that. So first let me go through all of the parts. So this is the casting, this is the bowl, and then this is the top, which has the throttle linkage or assembly. Then we have our parts over here, which is the float. This is the pin that holds the float on. This is the choke arm, nut, and lock washer. This is the gas adjusting needle. This is the fuel strainer. This is the float valve, the needle, and seat. This goes on top of that, so that's how you adjust your gav. This is the venturi. This is a choke shaft and plate. This is your idle jet, secondary well, cap jet, compensator jet, main jet, drain plug, and this is the bolt that holds it all together. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put the main jet in. So the main jet is right here, and you're going to take your screwdriver, and that main jet goes in the hole where the drain plug goes. So you just are going to put that in, screw it in tightly, but not really tight because you don't want to strip it. Just right until snug, like that. And these are all original jets. So these were just all cleaned, make sure the passages are free because they're reproduction jets. The orifices, whatever, they're not made to the correct specifications. Then you install the drain plug. This is the 1/2-inch bolt. Again, just until it's snug. This is brass, so you don't want it stripped. Okay, our next jet is going to be the cap jet. Now, all of these jets, except for the idle jet, have a little gasket on it. Now, these ones are in good condition, so I'm not replacing them, but if they don't forget to add that. So the cap jet goes in this little hole that's right in there. So you're going to screw that in. And then you're going to use this wrench, the larger side of it. There's two sides. And the larger side does the cap jet, and you're just going to tighten that until it's snug. Okay, the next thing we're going to install is the secondary well. Secondary well goes in this one of these holes. It's the threaded one. Just slides in. Take your screwdriver, tighten it until it seats. Give it a little, make it snug. Okay, then the next jet we have is our compensator jet. Now this jet is super tiny, so it's kind of hard to install, and show. It goes right in this threaded hole right there. It's a bit of a pain. Tighten it down until it's snug. Don't over tighten it. You don't want to strip any threads. Okay, now that's all the jets for the bottom casting. Now I'll show you. So we'll move that out of the way for now. And then we have our top casting. So there's a little threaded hole right here, and that's where your idle jet goes. So that goes down into the secondary well, and that's how it idles. And you're going to take the smaller end of your special wrench or just pliers, whatever you have, and just tighten that down like that. Now the idle jet does not have a gasket around it. Our next thing is the float valve, or the needle and seat right here. Now, in order for the float level to be set properly, there's a gasket or shims. So we'll start with this one, and then we'll adjust it accordingly. So tighten that down. This is a 5/8. We're not going to tighten it a lot just because we may have to adjust it. But this, I like the original style float valves rather than the Vuitton tipped or the ball or whatever. These are fine. This one was sitting in here. I just put literally a drop of motor oil in there to just lubricate the needle so it moves freely. Okay, so once you have that installed, you're going to need the float. Now the float goes on here, and then there's a little pin that you slide in. Okay, that's on there. Now you can see the float on here the float should be level with the top of the casting, and right now it's not. You can see that it's sitting too high. So we're going to take the float off. Okay, so I got the float off. Now we're going to take our 5/8 inch wrench again, take off our float valve, and I have another shim. We're going to put that on and see if that makes our float level to where it should be. Now that looks like it's going to be way too high. Yeah, so that's too high. So let me find a thinner shim for this. Okay, so I found a thinner shim, and it should be perfect now. So I'm just going to tighten this like that. Put our float back on. Maybe. So the float controls the gas flow into the carburetor. So once the bowl is full, the float leans on the needle, and that's how that's the valve, so it controls the gas flow. So as you can see, that's like as good as it's gonna get. That's pretty close to being level. So now we're going to install the needle and the other stuff. Okay, I forgot one thing about the top casting. So this is where your fuel inlet is. And then right here, you have this fuel strainer to stop any particles from getting in the carburetor. So that's another 5/8. That takes a gasket as well. Just slightly tighten that. And now we're going to move on to the lower casting. So we have to install our adjusting needle, which screws into here. You don't really need this that tight, just pretty much hand tight until you can't do it. I'll just double check with this wrench. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then on top of that, we have to wait for this part, but that goes on top. Next, we're going to install the choke. So the first thing we need to do is slide the choke arm. Oops, wrong way. We have to slide it in through here. and that exposes that. Next, to hold it on, we need to, well, first we'll put this on. That just slides right over that. Then we have our arm, which fits on here. Fits in that little groove, so that's how it operates the choke. So then we're going to put the lock washer, a little nut, and fun fact, oops, this nut is this, can also be used with this, the cap jet hole on this wrench. So don't do too much, because I've tightened it too much where it broke the threads. So I had to use duct tape to hold it on until I got a new nut for it. But so there, that's how that goes on. Now we have to install the choke plate. So here's the choke plate. It slides in. It's gonna be a little snug, but that's okay. Once you have that in, you're going to take the 2 screws and then fasten them on the screwdriver to hold the choke plate in place. Again, don't do it too tight. And then the other one. Okay. Now the last thing that we need to do is put in our venturi. This goes right over there and it just sits in there. And then we have our gasket, which slides over the venturi like that. I put a tiny bit of motor oil on it to help it go in a little bit easier. Perfect. Okay, so once you have that, you want to make sure that the gasket is all lined up. And then you have your final bolt where it went. Here it is. And that holds the whole thing together. So you're just going to screw that in until it holds everything. Like that. And then you're going to take your 9/16, wherever that went. Here it is. And tighten that. Again, do not over tighten this. My other carburetor, I did over tighten it and it stripped the bolt, cracked the housing. I couldn't use it anymore. Just that tight. That's good. So here's a fully completed Zenith carburetor. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you found this helpful.